People love to say success brings out the best in family. They're wrong. Sometimes success is a mirror, and what it reflects will make you bleed. The night I didn't die began with champagne. I was in a private room above the Iron Lantern, a dim, brick-walled restaurant where Denver's sports agents liked to cling glasses and whisper numbers. I'd just signed a $6 million, 3-year contract with the Stallions. My coach, my agent, and a handful of teammates were there. Cameras had been there earlier. They were gone now. The room smelled like cedar and citrus, and for once, my future didn't smell like sweat and antiseptic tape. When the desserts arrived, Serena slid in late. My sister had always been beautiful in a glossy magazine way, winged eyeliner, hair like liquid bronze. She flashed the kind of smile that made waiters lean forward. Growing up, people assumed we were close. How could they know that love in our house had always been a scoreboard? Points for charm. Points for appearances. Points for saying the right thing in front of the right people. Serena hugged me hard enough to feel like pressure. "My girl," she said into my ear. $6 million. I laughed, shaky. "We both know it's not guaranteed." "It will be," she said, eyes bright. "You always make it happen." What I didn't see then, what I only understood later, was the flicker behind her pupils. Not pride. Calculation. After midnight, the party thinned. My agent called a car. Coach kissed my forehead and told me to sleep like a champion. The restaurant's upper hallway wound past the service stairs, a narrow gray flight that led to the alley. Outside, snow came down soft and mean, the city swallowing its own sound. Serena clutched my arm. "Wait. Tell me it's real." "It's real," I said, smiling. "But promise me you won't tell Mom. You know how she gets." "I want to do it right." "Sit them down. Walk them through it." She raised a perfect eyebrow. "You think Mom can keep a secret for 24 hours? I think she can try. For me." We reached the top landing. The metal treads were dusted with the powder the staff used to stop slips. I put my hand on the rail. Serena's fingers tightened on my sleeve. "Robin," she said softly, "you don't get it, do you?" I turned. "Get what?" Her smile thinned. "Some of us had to watch you become the sun. It's blinding." Before I could answer, she moved. A small, decisive shove, one you'd use to get a defender off your hip in the paint. Enough. My ankle twisted on the first tread. My paw missed the rail. Then weight and metal and white. Useless light. I didn't scream. The stairwell swallowed my breath, and my skull found the corner of the landing with a sound I still hear in dreams, like a dull bell rung underwater. The world turned sideways, and then nothing. If this were one of those easy stories, that's where it would end. Fade to black. Headlines. Tragedy. But I didn't die. I fell into the dark, and in the dark there were voices. Not my mother's. Not my father's. A nurse saying pupil response sluggish. A doctor saying diffuse axonal injury, get me neuro. Something cold on my scalp. Plastic in my throat. My body a cage, and I the wrong animal trapped inside. Coma feels like floating on a lake at night. There's a shore somewhere. You just can't turn your head to see it. Days have a taste. Mine tasted like saline. At some point, footsteps clicked in, and I understood the sound like I'd known it all my life. Heels. My mother, Lydia, always moved as if cameras were pointed at her, even when there weren't any. My father, Porter, spoke in gentle, curated sentences meant for a microphone he never earned. They were a public couple, church committees, HOA boards, photos at charity galas where my jersey number was always mentioned second and Serena's boutique was mentioned first. The heel stopped near my bed. A chair scraped. "She looks awful," my mother said, voice tight. "She'll be fine," Serena whispered. Even then, she played sympathetic. "They said swelling is normal." My mother exhaled a thin, offended breath. "What happens to the contract if she's like this?" "Lydia," my father warned softly, "not here." "You think I'm cruel?" "We signed the mortgage on our house with the expectation she'd be able to help if the market dipped. We invested in her training. We took out that line of credit when she needed surgery. Don't glare at me. I'm asking the necessary questions. Something inside me clawed for the surface. A word. Any word. My body refused. Serena sniffed. Her agent called. As long as she progresses, they'll keep the PR spin optimistic. But bonuses will shift. My mother's perfume sharpened. Then we need to be practical. Paper rustled. I heard the zip of a purse. Her online banking? My father asked low. You have access? Serena's voice went cool. She gave me it last year, remember? When she was in rehab and I paid her rent for 2 months. She said, in case of emergency, here's my login. Emergency, my mother repeated, like a prayer. Exactly. A beat of silence. Then, tapping.
Phone.
Numbers. 80,000? My mother breathed, surprised delight flickering in.
Well,
at least we won't be the only ones hurting this time. Transfer it, my father said. Split it so it doesn't flag. Heels clicked again. A kiss on my cheek that never touched skin. Get better, baby, Serena whispered to the room, for the nurse in the doorway, for anyone who might think she cared. The door side shut, and in the deep, a new sound started. A pulse that wasn't the monitor.
Slow. Hot.
Relentless. Not the sound of a heart breaking. The sound of one hardening. Weeks don't pass in a coma. They collect. A nurse reads a devotional in Spanish beside you. A janitor hums a Motown hook as he mops. A TV in the hallway insists the world is still spinning. Weather, playoffs, politics, tragedies that are not yours. Somewhere in there, snow became slush and slush became March. And then a voice sliced clean. Robin?
Hey.
If you can hear me, squeeze.
Coach Mara.
Gravelly. Unapologetic. A woman who never laughed at the right time and therefore became my favorite person. My fingers twitched. Good, she said, a whisper punching like a cheer. Good kid. That's you. That's you coming back. Other voices came in her wake. Noah, our team trainer who believed in science and second chances. Arya, the rookie who'd idolized me since she was 13 and refused to stop talking at my bedside because silence felt like giving up. But not my parents. Not once. The nurses would tell me later, after I'd learned to sit without vomiting and speak without biting my tongue. First day, an older RN said, tightening the blanket around my toes. Then they stopped coming. Your coach camped in that chair every evening, though. That one with the squeak. She smiled. She made the doctors listen. On the day the ventilator came out, the world felt razor bright. My throat burned. I swallowed against the tear and rasped. How long? 23 days, Noah said softly. But you were never gone. I nodded, tiny because even that brought the ceiling closer. Then I remembered a stairwell. Cedar and citrus. A hand on my sleeve. Serena? I croaked. Mara's eyes went flint. Later. I reached for the call button instead. Phone, I whispered. I need my phone.
No one asked why.
No one tried to talk me out of it. When the screen lit, the numbers inside my banking app glared back with the same cold shock as a hospital fluorescent tube. $80,000. Gone in 4 neat transfers. My breath stuttered. Mara leaned in. You tell me where to point, she said, voice low, dangerous. And I'll build the firing line. I stared at my trembling hands, the same hands that had learned to hold a ball like a secret, that had thought success meant safety. I thought about a mother who measured love in mortgages, a father who said split it so it doesn't flag, a sister who knew exactly how hard to push. Then I smiled, small, cracked, undeniable. Coach, I whispered, call a lawyer. Because I hadn't died. And now that I was awake, they were about to learn what survival looked like. Coming back from a coma is like climbing out of wet cement. Every limb feels like it belongs to someone else. Every thought arrives too slow. But one thing came fast. Anger. The first week of recovery, my body betrayed me in small humiliations. I dropped water cups, forgot words mid-sentence, and needed help to sit upright. The doctors called it progress. But in my head, I was replaying every sound from those 23 days. My mother's purse sipping, my father's voice saying split it, my sister whispering get better, baby, like a bad actress. That wasn't progress. That was evidence. Coach Mara visited daily, sitting in the squeaky chair that had practically molded to her. She kept me sharp by talking about basketball plays, like nothing had changed. But then she leaned in one evening, her eyes steel gray. "You need to hear this," she said. "The restaurant has cameras. Allie's stairwell, too. Police didn't press because they called it an accident. But I saw the footage." My chest tightened. "Show me." She held up her tablet. There it was, grainy but clear enough, Serena's hand on my arm, her push subtle but deliberate, her face lit by the stairwell light. The fall wasn't clumsy. It was engineered. I pressed the back of my head into the pillow, fighting the surge of bile. She tried to kill me. My sister. And then came the financial rot. Noah helped me log back into my accounts. For transfers, each around 20 grand.
Clean.
To shell accounts with names I didn't recognize. But a bank rep confirmed what I already knew. The login came from Serena's device. Timestamped.
Tracked.
Undeniable. $80,000. Gone like lint. I thought of every night I'd skip dinner to save money in college, every bus ride instead of Uber, every off-season job. All of it stolen by the people who should have been celebrating me. The hospital gossip only deepened the cut. Nurses whispered that my parents visited once, early on, then vanished. No calls. No prayers at my bedside. But Serena? She'd shown up often. Always cheerful, bringing cookies for the staff, playing the role of devoted sister. Funny thing, one nurse confided while changing my four. She always asked about your financial health, like if you had insurance, benefits. It was strange. Strange?
No.
It was strategic. She was casing me like a burglar checks windows. One night, while Mara was reviewing my physical therapy plan, I whispered, "Why?" She looked at me. Why what? Why would they do this? I didn't do anything to them. Mara's jaw tightened. "You did do something, Robin. You made it. You worked your tail off, and you signed the contract they could never dream of. Success doesn't always inspire pride. Sometimes it rots people. And your family? They've been rotting for years." I stared at the ceiling, fighting tears. She was right. As soon as I could walk with help, Mara wheeled me into a small conference room. Her friend, a lawyer named Evelyn Chin, was waiting with files stacked high. First thing, Evelyn said, calm and sharp, "We freeze what we can. That money may be gone, but paper trails don't vanish." She slid me copies of bank statements. Serena's name wasn't on them, but the path was obvious, for new accounts opened under a trust my parents controlled. Second thing, Evelyn continued, "We prepare for the long game. If we press charges, it'll get ugly. They'll cry family dispute. They'll drag your name in tabloids. You need to be ready." I lifted my chin. I've been in the foster fire of rehab for weeks. You think I can't take a courtroom? Mara smirked. That's my girl. By March, my body obeyed me again. I could climb stairs without blacking out, run short drills, even shoot free throws in the rehab gym. But it wasn't just my legs I was strengthening. It was my resolve. Every drop of sweat was aimed at one finish line. The day my family would see me not broken, not begging, but standing. The final straw came from the neighbors. Aria, my rookie teammate, showed up with wide eyes one evening. "You won't believe what I heard," she said, twisting her backpack strap. "Your parents were at a block party. They were bragging about Serena managing your finances while you were out of commission. Your dad even joked you'd be better off if you stayed asleep, because then they could keep control." Heat flared in my veins. Better off asleep? That was when the fury crystallized into something colder, sharper. Not just rage. Strategy. I started writing everything down. Dates, names, overheard phrases. I compiled emails Serena had sent pretending to be me. I saved photos of luxury items she posted online while my hospital bill stacked. Piece by piece, the puzzle formed. And the picture was damning. One morning, I caught my reflection in the rehab mirror. Not the broken girl in a hospital bed. Not the scared athlete who thought family meant safety. I saw someone harder.
Smarter. Ready.
Serena wanted me gone, I whispered to the glass. She should have made sure I stayed down. Because I was awake now, and I was coming for all of them. The coma didn't kill me. The betrayal didn't break me.
It only sharpened me.
And now, every step I took in rehab wasn't just recovery, it was preparation for war. Revenge doesn't start with shouting. It starts in silence. It starts when the world thinks you're too broken to move. That was my greatest weapon. Because while my parents and sister flaunted their new lives, I was in the shadows, rebuilding. Physical therapy was brutal. Metal bars, sweat-soaked shirts, muscles screaming as if they hated me for waking them up. Every stumble was a reminder. Serena wanted me to stay weak. But every time I pushed myself upright, I whispered in my head, "Not today. Not ever." The nurses cheered when I walked unaided across the gym. But I didn't tell them that inside. Each step felt like loading another bullet into the chamber. Meanwhile, Evelyn, my lawyer, worked like a surgeon. She traced Serena's digital fingerprints, fake emails, altered PIN entries, transfers routed through shell accounts. Every move left a scar on the paper trail. Sloppy arrogance, Evelyn muttered, flipping through statements. Your sister thought no one would ever question her because you were supposed to be, what's the phrase? Out cold. I clenched my fists. She was right about one thing. I was out, but I came back. Mara played the role of strategist. She scouted allies, contacted my agent, and looped in the league's PR team. They're expecting a scandal, she warned me. So, we'll give them something better, a comeback. I spent evenings sketching out my testimony with Evelyn. Dates, times, Serena's words on video, my parents' casual cruelty. At first, recounting it made my throat burn, but repetition turned pain into armor. By the 15th run-through, my voice didn't shake. I wasn't the only one building. The Stallion sent team trainers to help my rehab. Noah customized drills to rebuild my explosiveness. Arya brought me scouting reports, making me visualize games as if I were already back on the court. Their belief stitched me back together in ways medicine couldn't. They reminded me of something crucial. I wasn't just fighting for money or revenge. I was fighting for my future. Meanwhile, my family lived like parasites fattened on stolen blood. Neighbors saw Serena stepping out of a new car. My parents boasted about renovations on their house. Their social media showed vacations, dinners, jewelry. All bought with the money I sweated for. I kept screenshots. I built a file so thick even the most biased judge couldn't ignore it. One night, Arya scrolled through her phone and winced. Robin a look. She showed me Serena's Instagram. Caption under a champagne glass. Some of us are built to win. Others are built to serve. My chest ached. She wasn't just bragging. She was taunting me, daring me to come back. I whispered, "Careful what you wish for, Serena." The hardest part wasn't the physical pain. It was the silence I had to keep. My parents called once, leaving a voicemail full of sugar-coated lies. "We're praying for you, sweetheart. Serena has been managing your affairs responsibly. Don't stress yourself." I didn't call back. Not because I was weak, because I was planning. Silence was my revenge incubator. By summer, I was walking confidently, shooting again, even sprinting short distances. The doctors called it miraculous. But it wasn't a miracle. It was obsession. It was fury turned into discipline. Every rep in the gym, every therapy session, every drill was fueled by one thought. When they see me again, they won't recognize the person standing in front of them. Evelyn prepared the court filings quietly.
Fraud. Theft.
Assault. Each charge backed by evidence solid enough to bend steel. When she asked if I wanted to press them all, I said, "Every single one." She nodded. "Then they'll never see it coming. They think you're silent. They don't know silence is just strategy." The day before the hearing notice went out, I stood outside my gallery rehab gym at dusk. The Denver skyline glowed orange, and for a moment, I thought of 8-year-old Robin shooting hoops on a cracked driveway. That girl had dreamed of fame. She got betrayal instead. But now I was writing a new play. And the final quarter hadn't even started. They thought the coma made me weak. They thought silence meant surrender. But silence was just the mask I wore while I rebuilt the fire inside me. And when the court date came, they would see exactly what silence had prepared. Courthouses don't smell like justice. They smell like old wood, burnt coffee, and nerves. But that morning, as I walked through the Denver courthouse doors with Mara on one side and Evelyn on the other, it smelled like victory. My parents were already there. Dad in a stiff navy suit, jaw tight. Mom in pearls, clutching her handbag like it was her lifeline. And Serena, polished, smug, dressed in designer white, like she was auditioning for sainthood. When they saw me walk in, upright, steady, stronger than they'd ever expected, my mother's lips parted. Serena's hand froze mid-scroll on her phone. For the first time in months, I saw something flicker across her perfect face.
Fear.
Inside the courtroom, the air was heavy with whispers. Reporters had caught wind of the fallen star making a comeback. The judge, a broad man with steel-framed glasses, tapped his gavel. Case number 4417. Robin Carter versus Serena Carter, Porter Carter, and Lydia Carter. Allegations: theft, fraud, and assault. The words hung like thunder. My family shifted uncomfortably. The world finally had names for their betrayal. Evelyn started with precision. She projected the stairwell footage on the screen. There was Serena's hand, casual as brushing lint, pushing me down the stairs. The grainy clip filled the silent courtroom. Gasps rippled through the gallery. Serena's lawyer jumped up. Objection. The footage is circumstantial. She didn't. Overruled. The judge cut in, voice firm. The video speaks for itself. I didn't flinch. I stared straight at Serena. She refused to meet my eyes. Next came the bank records. Evelyn flipped through slide after slide, each showing transfers, IP addresses, timestamps. This login, she said, pointing with her pen, originated from Ms. Serena Carter's phone. The funds were routed to accounts later used by Porter and Lydia Carter for personal expenses, including mortgage payments, vehicle purchases, and vacations. Every word was a nail in the coffin. I caught my father's throat bobbing as he swallowed. My mother dabbed her eyes with a tissue, but I saw no tears. And Serena? Her face turned stone. When it was my turn to testify, my hands didn't shake. I told the court everything. The party, the stairs, the coma, the silence. How I woke up to find myself not just broken but robbed. I described overhearing my parents discuss the money while I lay in that hospital bed, tubes in my throat. You wanted me gone, I said, my voice calm but cutting. Not because I failed, but because I succeeded without needing you. The courtroom was silent except for the scratch of pens. Then came their turn. My father stood, voice smooth like always. Your Honor, this is a misunderstanding. Families support each other in difficult times. We thought managing her money was the responsible choice. Without her consent, the judge asked. Dad stammered. Well, she gave Serena access years ago. Access for emergencies, Evelyn interjected, rising like a blade. Not theft. My mother tried the sympathy route. She's our daughter. We love her. We only wanted what was best. Best for whom? I cut in, unable to hold back. You left me in a coma while you spent my money on parties and trips. If that's love, keep it. Her face crumpled, but the truth was louder than her performance. Finally, Serena. She adjusted the mic, voice smooth, like silk hiding barbed wire. My sister exaggerates. That night at the stairs, I tried to catch her. The footage looks misleading. As for the money, I was managing things while she was incapacitated. Families don't always use contracts. We use trust. Trust. I repeated softly, leaning into the mic. You mean the trust you broke the second you pushed me? The trust you shattered when you drained $80,000 while I was fighting for my life. For the first time, her composure cracked. The mask slipped. The judge leaned back, eyes hard. This court has seen enough. The evidence is overwhelming. Serena Carter, you're charged with attempted assault and fraud. Porter and Lydia Carter, with complicity in theft and misuse of funds. Gasps filled the room again. My parents slumped, pale. And Serena? Her chair screeched as she collapsed into it, face ashen. The smug smile was gone. The woman who thought I'd never rise again was crumbling under the weight of her own lies. The gavel hit. Bail is set. Further sentencing will follow. Just like that, the people who abandoned me were stripped bare in front of the world. I stood calm, tall, alive. My revenge wasn't loud. It was measured, delivered in the silence of truth finally spoken aloud. They thought I'd never wake up. They thought I'd never fight back. But I didn't need rage or fists. I needed evidence. And when the truth hit them in that courtroom, they didn't just lose the case, they lost me forever. Revenge doesn't always end with handcuffs or tears. Sometimes, the sweetest revenge is simply walking away stronger than they ever imagined. The courthouse emptied slowly that day, whispers trailing in my wake like shadows. Reporters swarmed, cameras flashing, microphones thrust forward. Robin, how does it feel to face your family in court? Do you think they'll apologize? Are you planning to return to the Stallions this season? I gave them one line. I didn't fight to destroy them. I fought to protect myself. And then I walked on, leaving their chaos behind. The days that followed were strange. The tabloids devoured every detail. Headlines screamed, "Betrayed by blood, basketball star's family scandal, sister from hell." Friends and strangers alike reached out, letters, emails, even fans I'd never met who told me they understood betrayal, that my story gave them courage. But I didn't crave pity. What I craved was freedom. I moved into a new apartment, high above the Denver skyline, with windows so wide the sunrise spilled across the floor every morning. The first night, I stood barefoot on the balcony, the city lights blinking below, and whispered, "This is mine. No one can take it." Inside, the walls were bare. No family photos. No old furniture dragged from childhood. Just fresh paint, my jerseys framed, and the smell of new beginnings. The Stallions management called. "Take your time," they told me. "We'll be here when you're ready." But I surprised them. "I'm not done," I said. "Set me up with the trainer. I want back on the court." Because revenge wasn't only in the courtroom. It was in every layup, every sprint, every game I played knowing I'd beaten the darkness that tried to end me. And then there was the gallery. Basketball was my heartbeat, but art was my sanctuary. During rehab, I had begun painting abstract storms of red and black, gold streaks cutting through like hope refusing to die. One night, Mara looked at my canvases spread across the floor. "You should show these," she said. I laughed. Who'd want to see my therapy sessions? But she didn't drop it. Within months, a small gallery downtown displayed my work, falling but not broken. The opening night was packed. People stood before my canvases, some crying, some silent, all moved. And for the first time, I realized revenge wasn't just about proving my family wrong. It was about proving myself right. As for my parents, they tried calling. Letters came, full of excuses. "Your sister is lost. We just wanted to help her. We didn't mean for it to go this far." Family makes mistakes, Robin. Don't ruin yours over money.
Money?
It wasn't about money. It was about abandonment. About standing in a hospital bed alone while they chose greed over love. I didn't reply. My silence was their answer. Serena was convicted, probation, fines, community service. Her boutique shuttered, her reputation shredded. Mom and Dad were ordered to repay what they took, though their social standing never recovered. Neighbors stopped waving. Church committees whispered. The family name they polished for decades was now a cautionary tale. That was their punishment. Not prison. Oblivion. One afternoon, I visited Grandma's grave, the only person in my family who ever saw me clearly. I placed a small basketball charm beside her stone. "Don't worry," I whispered. "I found my way. I found my strength." The breeze that swept across the cemetery felt like her hand, soft and proud. Months later, I stepped back onto the court in front of roaring fans. My name echoed through the stadium, louder than ever. Every dribble was a declaration. I survived. I rebuilt. I won. And when I hit my first three-pointer, the crowd erupted. I closed my eyes for a moment, not hearing the cheers, but the silence of the hospital, the voices plotting against me, and the gavels slamming justice down. That was the true sound of victory. Now, when people ask me if I regret losing my family, I smile. How can you lose what was never truly yours? I say, I didn't lose. I shed. And what grew in place was stronger, brighter, untouchable. They pushed me down the stairs. They left me in a coma. They stole my money, but in the end, they couldn't steal my spirit. The real revenge wasn't in the courtroom. It was in the life I built afterward. And every day I live freely, I remind them of the one thing they'll never take from me again: my power.